So there's been a lot going on lately. Probably the most important thing is the recent death penalty um, issue. We've had likely innocent people murdered. We've had foreign nationals murdered. We've had mentally challenged people murdered. We've had people who didn't commit the crime murdered. And yet the person who did commit the crime got life in prison. The T-thugs really, really demonstrated the problem when it was raised in the debate that Perry had killed more people than any other governor, and they cheered. That was assumed to be a good thing for some reason. Now, I find it repugnant. There is at no point that a state should have the right to murder its own citizens. It's just not a good thing. Um, I don't see why people are such in favor of the concept. First of all, the trials cost for anywhere from twice to three times the amount. I think the low ball, the lowest amount that states pay for a death penalty case is 70% more. Most states pay two times as much or more. That's just not a good use of dollars. Save the money, put the person in prison for the rest of his life. The problem with the death penalty is that it runs into two moral directions, quagmires, really. One is, do you want the state, the government, to decide when you can and cannot be murdered? And that's an important one to me because, like the one case, I think it was the one in Georgia recently, the guy didn't kill anybody. His friend did. He got the death penalty. His friend got life in prison. Literally, you can now be executed for not killing someone. You can be executed because someone you know did something wrong. This is why I will run slightly with a slippery slope argument on the death penalty, because it proves to be a rather slippery slope. Look at Texas, a state that adores murdering its inmates. I mean, they worship the process of murdering people. They kill more people than nearly every other state combined every year. And they enjoy it. It's what they do. They don't care if it's a foreign national. They don't care if the person has a 4-year-old mentality. Doesn't matter. Um, how could you feel safe? How could you feel anyone in your family is safe if the people deciding your life and death don't care? This is a serious issue, especially if you look at the standard declaration now from the T-thugs about anyone, moderate or liberal, being a traitor, being treasonous. The death penalty is the penalty for treason. So these people who have already proven that they like to murder people call you a name which has the death penalty attached to it. That doesn't scare you just a little bit? Um, it's just wrong. It's really, really wrong. And on the other side, the other moral issue with the death penalty is that it isn't justice. Nowhere near justice. It's vengeance. It's retribution. But even then, it's very poorly thought out. You can kill a person one time. That's all you get. So if this guy gets convicted of something horrible and you decide, okay, I'm going to kill him, done. You live with it the rest of your life. You live with what he did. In my case, my sister was raped and murdered by a serial killer. I have to live with that my entire life. Why would I want the murderer to be given a free pass? Why would I want him just, see ya? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a vengeful person of that sort. Um, I do think that he needs to be imprisoned, but I also think he needs mental health. I think he needs studied. We need to study these people to find out what pushes them, find out what triggers them, find out what motivates them. Only with more knowledge can we combat the terrible things that happen. Um, think about it like this. There was a time when eating gave you a pretty good chance of dying. Think about the Middle Ages when the use of spice in food was to cover up the taste and scent of meat that was turning bad. How do we counteract this? We learned more. We found out about germs. We found out about washing our hands. We found out about properly containing and storing meats. This helped us. According to the death penalty concept, we should just throw out anything that vaguely resembles something that we once ate that made us sick. Just kill it. Just get rid of it. Don't learn from it. Don't study it. Just get rid of it. And it doesn't make sense. Not only is it repugnant to murder people, it's wrong to do it and assume it will make the world a better place. It's wrong to do it and assume that you are the one with the moral high ground. Because you very well may not be. Um, I'd like to ask each and every person that sees this, or anybody that's ever had anything to do, lived in a state, or dealt with people who had something to do with the death penalty, to really get active, because it's something that has to stop. We are executing innocent people. We are executing people who don't deserve to die. And people like George Bush and Rick Perry laugh at the idea. They think it's funny. They enjoy murdering. They don't care if you're innocent. They don't care if you committed some heinous crime. They get to have fun. And the recent T-Thug joy expressed at the concept of slaughtering people is just terrible. And if you think about it, the very act, I mean, if you want to argue, oh, we're not murdering them, it's justice. Think about this. The majority of the people that will be put to death did so in an act of emotion. They didn't intend. They didn't wake up that morning saying, you know, I think I'm going to kill somebody today. They got ripped off by a drug dealer. They caught their old lady in bed with somebody. They got fired and they got in a car wreck and the person who did it gets killed. There's an emotional aspect. There's something beyond the process of murder by concept. But with the death penalty, there is nothing else. There's a book this thick of routines and procedures. They study this book. They spend hundreds of hours rehearsing how to deal with the condemned, how to walk the condemned, how to restrain the condemned, how to administer the punishment to the condemned, how to allow the viewing of the condemned. Every aspect of this is routine. It's called a routine for the very fact that it is done routinely. That is premeditated murder. And that, to me, is a worse crime. This person has no choice. There's no getting out of it. It's just wrong on every moral, on every logical concept. The murder of an inmate is murder, not justice. It's vengeance and murder. And yes, I can speak about this because this type of person had a huge impact in my life. And I hope, I hope that I never have to witness this person's execution, even though he's on death row. And if it ever comes up, I will go and I will protest in the hearing against his murder because it's wrong.